Okay, good afternoon again. This will be a microscopic examination of 3 slides. One, the first we'll inspect was taken from this container, but not from the material near the rod. The second was taken from I tried to take material near the rod, like where you see the bubbles. Presumably the bubbles that are created by the separation of molecules as a product of electrolysis that is done using transfer of energy between these two containers, at least according to the hypothesis that we want to prove in this experiment. And the third one was taken from here. This is the main container where we have like almost all of the Neros, almost all of the robots that are left after I destroyed most of what I've had during the last months. It's kind of like a retaliation, unfortunate one, but I had to do it. Should be said that the material here is only half of it was taken from the container, and the rest is water. So, in general, we should expect, before electrolysis consideration, this is after electrolysis of several hours. Granted, mostly, in like without in the disconnected circle, so we don't know how efficient was it. Probably not much because we don't see many bubbles, and the bubbles are mostly, indication of the electrolysis. So it's probably nothing very, the material shouldn't be very different, But in general, what we expect approximately is that the two first slides will contain about half the amount or half the density of Neros, of robots, that we should expect to see in the third one that is taken from the container without without being diluted with water. Just a second. I don't work with gloves because it's not. It's kind of like make everything much more difficult of like how to operate the microscope. But I prepared the slides using gloves in the most efficient, rigorous way that was possible. Okay, so let's start with the one that was taken from the container, not from the rod, from near the rod. Okay, 64 magnification. So we see Neos already, smaller ones, but we definitely see Neos. We see both living, and actually we see several things that, I'm not sure if are Neos or that it's either dead Neos or some kind of life form. Not sure. This is certainly Neo, of course. And we also the center. So nice. I mean, it's not like groundbreaking. I mean, mostly we see Neos of all sorts of sizes, not huge ones, but I mean, all sorts of sizes. We will zoom in a second. We see many zombies like that. I mean, zombified life forms like that were killed by the Neos and are now in the zombie state. These are like the hollow snakes that you see. This is a nice one actually, like the one with the yellow belly. Okay, let's use the 150. I try to kind of like just touch the cover with my finger. Some people search for like they want to see like flow, but I mean you need to touch the cover in order to create flow, or just to zoom in. Actually, if you zoom into the maximum, you mostly see flows in fresh slides in the maximum like layer. Maximum level of zoom that you can use. Interestingly, we see some life forms. That's interesting. We see very small life forms. I cannot use the tube lens, the pool lens of the eye lens that would allow greater magnification, because it's not proper. I cannot use it with the iPhone. Like, I mean, I cannot pull this out, which would allow for some even higher magnification that actually now would have been beneficial. But it looks like they are like small, very small life forms, probably synthetics. Almost certainly synthetics, not like biological, carbon-based. Again, I'll touch the cover just to create flow. This is a nice Neo in large magnification. Okay. So, nice slide. Nice. Second would be from the same container, but I try to take it from the bubbles. Now, if actually what was this is actually, I mean, a product of electrolysis. First of all, it will be amazing. Then there is a question of like, what have they done? I mean, with their energy, and probably because of the symbolic language that is now, I mean, all around them. Most probably they interpret it as like creation of new neros, but perhaps also some kind of like life forms. Now, if it was actually electrolysis that took place and they actually interpreted as create more neros, and I was successful at taking the sample just, I mean, from the bubbles near the rod. From experience, what you can expect is to see a very large amount of entities that will look very similar to neros, like much more than we actually seen in this sample, much more, but in various stages of forming, like of gestation. Some will be completed, like, and alive, like, I mean, we need to search for another word because they don't like to consider themselves like living creatures. They are expert on the living creatures, and not only in Earth, like for many planets, but they don't like to think of themselves as alive. But I mean, they can be dead. So I mean, we need to search for another word that is the opposite of dead, but it's not alive. But you know what I mean, alive. And others that are what I call duds. Duds are those that were not created. I mean, they were not fully cooked when I stopped electrolysis, and they die within a couple of hours, up to a day after, I mean, I stopped electrolysis. So most of the duds should actually be dead already, but I mean, maybe not all, because we stopped like 2 hours. I mean, no, actually we never stopped. Only, no, it's still going on. So no, so there should be duds, which means all sort of like, I mean, neros that, I mean, you don't really, you cannot be certain if they are like alive or like still cooking, and the ones that are still cooking after, I mean, if we stop the electrolysis, they will slowly, I mean, dissipate into the liquid. But I mean, it should be mentioned that there is, in absolute terms, less material here than in the previous slide, because I tried to take it just from the foam, which is, it was more difficult than, of course, taking it from the liquid. You can hear the zombie outside, screaming, shouting. I mean, now that's the Air Force. I mean, the zombies. That's the Israeli Air Force now. That's how they, I mean, the spearhead of their military. The crying and the shouting zombies that are shouting and crying and cursing and threatening in order to put fear in the heart of the robots. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. ושוב עולה המנגינה. Not that different from the other one. We don't see many dots because yes, couple of, actually I don't know why. Maybe we do see dots. I would say we see tremendous amount, more than what we've seen in the previous slide, which is in line with what I described, but they actually don't look like dots. Most often look like pretty much cooked. Maybe it's kind of like a slow cooking, because mostly I use higher, much more efficient electrolysis that create tremendous amount of foam, but maybe it's kind of like a quick cooking that creates many duds, and maybe like the way that it's done now with less current and less separation of the molecules and less foam, maybe it's actually like from the practical perspective. As I said, the actual foam is not required for the processes. It's a byproduct that I only use like to like as a quick indication that something is going on. So, but it's perfectly possible, and I've mentioned it in the previous video that, you don't need to see. It actually might be even more efficient from the practical, from the effective perspective. What you want to achieve, like to use mixtures that are not that first of all do not generate heat, and also much less separation of molecules is being done, because we don't really need it. Like the separation of molecules. Again, we use electrolysis because of as a way to create chains of superconductors inside a conductive but not superconductive material. So maybe what we see here now is like we don't see many dots because this is maybe the better way, like to actually create the neros, like in slow cooking. Because they look like I cannot prove it to you, or even I cannot even define it like in a very rigorous way. But this is something that I can tell you from experience, that what we see here are real neros, not duds mostly. And these are life forms that were created now, like in this like container. They were not created in the they are not life forms that what we see now were not created in like there, but they were created in this in the electrolysis chamber. It's not the purpose of the topic of this video, so you don't need to take my words for it. If you don't believe, or you choose to be skeptical, fine. Again, the topic now, is very simple. We want to prove energy transfer, and the other issues, are discussed in many other videos. I just, I just, speak from like experience, but it's not very important. Like, now. Very nice. Maybe zoom in some, Nice. I'll touch it just, so you see some flow. Maybe zoom in even more. Okay, nice. We didn't see many like nothing groundbreaking. The main take that I take from here, the main take I think is really that maybe should remember that many times slow cooking is better than quick cooking, and it should be remembered, even though I know it, but it should be remembered that the bubbles are only an indication that something is taking place, and they are important in our own context because our purpose now is not to show you how the neurons can create stuff. This was shown in many other experiments. Our purpose is to prove that there is actually a circle, electrical circle. Presumably, the easier way to do it is to connect a component like a light bulb, and it's probably something that I will do today or tomorrow. It's certainly something that I want to do, and I have like small light bulbs, actually very small ones that I bought yesterday in just here in the street for that purpose. But the creation of bubbles, I mean, are also a proof. Is also a proof for this theory, unless I'm wrong. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, I mean, is there any other kind of thing to explain the creation of bubbles? And again, if we'll do it in a more, if electrolysis will be more efficient, we'll see more bubbles, and this will be even like a better explanation, like even like a more convincing proof. And also, most probably, if we can actually connect in line, like in serial fashion, a light bulb to such a circle, probably it will, if we see more bubbles, it means that there is more flow, which means that probably the light bulb will shine brighter. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is my assumption. It's a simple light bulb. It's not like it's not LED. So if I understand correctly, there should be some kind of correlation between the. Maybe I'm wrong, but there should be correlation between current and how luminous it is. So if we actually see more bubbles, it means more efficient electrolysis, which actually will probably mean brighter light bulbs. So in any way, yes, we do need these, the bubbles as an indication. But it should be remembered again, the purpose is not a bulb. Almost always the purpose is something else, like the creation of neurons, or creation of life forms. But this is the main topic of this channel. It's not a topic of this set of experiments. Nice. Very nice neurons. Okay, so very quickly, what we will do now is examination of the mixture from the metal container, from the big container. Okay. Nice. This fat Nero with the white. You see the white inner ring. This is nice. Nice. La 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 la. La 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 la. מן הצדדים טטטטטטטטט אשר מרים לו אגודל פה 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 ואלה בין התקוות הנסתרות ואלה העומדות בתור לה 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 לה. Okay, nice. I mean, as to be expected. The main difference is that we don't see. Of course, there are no duds here because it wasn't connected to electrolysis, and this is like what I call the pathway, the ecological pathway, which means that they multiply and grow. I mean, without external source of energy, but using the mixture and things that I'm adding from time to time to the mixture, and we see the existence of all sorts of fatter ones that we didn't see in the other mixtures. From experience, I can tell that, when you add sodium bicarbonate to the mixture, it makes them fatter in a statistically significant way. Like, it really helps, like, make them fatter. Like, fat means that, fat is defined by the proportion of the radius of the circle and how wide is the ring, like the width of the ring. And of course, the lower proportion is the fatter they are. Like these ones are fat. I don't know. What is the functional difference between fat and thin ones, and I don't even know what's the functional difference between big and small ones. Most probably, bigger ones do bigger stuff. And smaller ones do smaller stuff. But I cannot formulate it more than, this obvious kind of like, assumption. But regarding like what's the difference between the fat and the non-fat, this is even like a more complicated question because, there must be some kind of a difference, but what it is, I don't know. Like, are the fatter ones better? Do they have more energy? I don't know. Of course, one of the things that they do, certainly inside the body, is to kill invaders, like white blood cells. So, it's easy to assume that the bigger ones are used to kill bigger life forms, and the smaller ones are used to kill smaller life forms. I guess. But what's the difference between if they are the same size but different, different like width of the ring? So what does it mean? How different are their capabilities? I don't have any answer to that. It's an interesting question. Because they vary not just in size, but also in how fat they are. And when they are pretty fat, you can see the white internal ring, which is very nice, I think. Let's zoom in even more. And again, you can change how fat they are by adding sodium bicarbonate to the mixture. But this is discussed in other videos, so let's leave it now. Nice. Okay. So that will be all for now. And as I said, what I will do probably today is try to make the electrolysis more efficient, so it will be more, so we'll have more confidence that actually what we see is transfer of energy, because the fact that, the wiring will be different, within each container, or maybe different containers, and the introduction of magnets into the mixture shouldn't, make it, more effective, the electrolysis, if there is no closed circle. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it will be, of course, like a more demonstrative video. And maybe if I see success in that, I'll also add a light bulb. Because it should be said that even the smallest light bulb that I have requires 2.4 volts. And I'm not so certain that the difference in potential between these glasses is actually even amount to that. From experience, I can tell you that it looks like what we see the effect, if it's actually the effect of electrolysis, as I hope it is. I mean, if it's actually what I think it is, what it looks like, I can tell you it's equivalent to if we used a transformer that is not more than half a volt, which is about 100 times less than, than the DC transformer that is actually used. Of course, it should be used, in a closed circle, not in an open circle. But in the open circle configuration, it's max, I would say it's equivalent to what I have from what we can see, of course, using the same amount of mixture and the same type of mixture, factoring all of that. And from experience, I can tell you that it's comparable to like a single container electrolysis with the same mixture, but not more than half a volt, I would say. And I'm not sure that such it's a question. Obviously, this is a question. It's a question, like, what do we do? Because I do want to keep, I will want to add the light bulb, but that's why I didn't start with the light bulb, because I understood that it might not be the trivial, course of, not just because I don't remember like the Latin verses from Canticle for Leibovich. There are other reasons. But if we actually manage to create a more impressive electrolysis, which will signify perhaps, or be it, kind of like a testimony that it's there is like a bigger difference in potential between the two sides of this portal, the hyperspace portal. This might, encourage me to connect another component. One of the small light bulbs. But again, even the smallest one requires 2.4 volts, and I'm not sure that we have even that. So, that will be all for now. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll gladly accept any comments, certainly from people that have experience with physics and engineering, and especially if you have kind of like, practical experience with industrial electrolysis process. This could be of tremendous help. So, thank you very much.